Some people are comfortable working in the open. I'm very comfortable, but not everyone's the same way. Pretty open about that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'd love to hear about you. Obviously, anyone that Ellen recommends, I take a serious look. I actually just gave her my calendar. So.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, so I don't know if you had like a chance to look at like Cloud Query as our open source project, but we started as an open source. We open sourced it early last year. Basically, we started as an open source cloud asset inventory. So in some sense, similar like to Terraform architecture, but kind of the other way around. We connect to all your like cloud APIs, SaaS services, extract all the configuration, transform it, and load it into Postgres. So you have like a queryable open source cloud asset inventory. We got some good feedback pretty much straight away from relatively large companies, security teams, SRE teams. So we decided to double down on that, and we raised our seed funding exactly 1 year ago. So we are a remote team now, about 12 engineers all around the world. Me and my co-founder are here in Tel Aviv, but actually a lot of our engineering team around Europe, US as well. And right now we raised our Series A round, so we are growing now. And also like a bit about the product. So we started as an open source cloud asset inventory, but we really now turning it into like solving the next use case on top. So because if you think about it, a lot of use cases in the cloud, if you want to solve them, you first need a cloud asset inventory. If you want to solve cost, you actually need to know what you have. If you want to solve security, you again need to know what you have, and you need to be able to query. So like the main use case that we are focusing now is around security. So we're really building like an open source stack for cloud governance and security. So kind of like the developer first alternative for companies like Palo Alto Networks, Prisma Cloud, Checkpoint, CSPMs, and like whatever 4 acronyms you have in the like Gartner security space. We really build it as like open source cloud asset inventory, and then you can basically do whatever you have, and we help solve those use cases. I also wrote a little bit about like our open source journey in the blog. You can I'll share the link, you can take a look later. And like quickly about myself, it's my 3rd company I'm building. My last company was also in the developer first space. It was a CI for fast testing. It was a self-funded one and was acquired by GitLab in 2020. So I've been there, integrated into their like into GitLab basically, into the platform, and after that, basically working on Cloud Query and trying to solve security and developer first and open source way, because I thought it's kind of lagging behind with a lot of enterprise solution that no one really wants to use. So yeah, we'll be happy to, I guess, answer like about anything else. I think you're on mute.
I mute myself just in case.
Yeah, no worries.
Anyway, so I think that's a really good pitch. I do like that your my best successes are 2nd and 3rd time founders.
Yeah.
Who are your users so far?
So usually mid to large companies like security teams, SRE teams, DevOps teams, Bloomberg, Fastly, various AWS MSPs, Autodesk, Cloudbees, actually Palo Alto Networks, funnily.
Nice.
I think he asked it to be off the record, but whatever. So yeah.
Got it. And can you take me through like, so this is a very generic thing. Like basically once you load it into a database, you're hands off, right? Like you don't really take care of recommendations beyond that.
So that's what we like. That's where we are kind of where we are going, right? So some of the features that we released, for example, is Cloud Query policies. So Cloud Query Policies is basically an abstraction layer on top of SQL. So you can write all your rules and queries with SQL and kind of pack them together with like HCL or kind of security as code. So this is one Cloud Query Policy, and it just integrates nicely into our platform. You can run it periodically. You can store them in your Git, and then we open sourced actually a bunch of a lot of the policies that are kind of closed source. We open source them. We have Cloud Query Hub, and people can both contribute back and change and customize them to their needs. So so this was one of the features. Will we do other recommendations? I think yes, but it probably also will be on the kind of policy. You can basically customize your own policies or recommendation, right? So
got it. I noticed that you use you have a history feature using timescale DB.
Yeah.
Is that on by default for everybody, for everything?
No, actually, it's also kind of an experimental feature that we are playing with.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not on by default, and we've been trying to see what's the best, but yeah, what's the best way to integrate it? Is it, so we tried timescale DB, but we're not sure if it maybe creates a bit of a burden. People just want to use standard Postgres for that. But yeah, it's kind of an experimental feature to supporting historical snapshots, so you can save all your cloud configuration, right? In the same way, and query query. For example, you can use the same policies and the same queries, but with history mode enabled.
With history mode enabled. Yeah. I mean, I think that's, to me, if I want to audit stuff, that is pretty important. But I have no idea what the burden is. I haven't used timescale DB directly myself.
Yeah, but also one thing. So it's an experimental, and I can elaborate on this feature. We have a lot of lessons learned from that, and we are trying to think what is the best way to do that. So we can talk about that later as well.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. And are you charging yet?
No, we are focused solely on the open source because that's the top of funnel. So we want to, let's say by the end of the year or in the next 10 to 12 months, to 10x the number of our open source users. We have analytics. Actually, we are going also to, after a lot of thinking, we are probably going to introduce Cloud Query login. So you will need to use, it's still free, but you need to get kind of an API key or login, kind of Docker login. So we already have anonymized analytics, but some people run it in the CI, and it makes fine-tuning the analytics a bit hard sometimes. For example, distinguishing between groups and users and so on, right? So people in the same company or completely different users, and this is really important. So we're thinking about introducing something like Cloud Query login to even improve that and help us drive our really product forward with understanding how people use it. So yeah, but we want to 10x the number of open source users. This is our sole focus.
Got it. Do you think that each cloud has their own cost expense visibility thingy, like a cloud trail or whatever? What is the main pitch versus that? Is it that you just have more control?
Yes. So currently, the main products of the cloud providers that we compete with are more not on the cost side, because actually we didn't touch the cost at all, the cost solutions. We just focus on asset, we started with asset inventory, and we still focus on that, and we try to solve this around use cases around security. So we are mainly competing with things like AWS config and Google Cloud Asset Inventory. And actually we had users that migrated, I think Cornell University, that migrated or in process of migrating from AWS config to Cloud Query, because one, you get standard SQL and you can plug it into like all your monitoring and visualization tools, like whatever you have. And two, you're not bound by, like, I think we already support almost, we already support more things than, like, more resources than AWS config, because their team is actually in the same hustle. They choose to go the closed source way, so they still have to integrate with the same API, and it's still hard for them. And people also contributed back to us, so actually we even can move faster. But also, you can also integrate, like people today also use Google or Azure, so you can, and those things you actually, like, basically we're taking advantage of multi-cloud, right? So going open source and multi-cloud, which AWS config can't give you, right? You can't get data from Azure to AWS config.
Right. And if you are more focused on security, are you so are your users like the CISOs or like whoever is head of security, or
cloud security engineers, like in the companies that use Cloud Query, is usually like the security teams themselves, right? Or like the director of security, and
okay. Yeah, we have a couple of those at Temple. Okay, so I think you've given me a good enough idea. I don't know if you would want a self-intro for me to talk about this.
I'd love to. Okay. I actually also like played a bit with the Temporal, as well.
Oh, cool. So I originally my first career was in finance. I did a lot of quantitative trading type stuff with interest rate and currency derivatives in London and in San Francisco, and then I switched over to tech, to dev, and I did mostly like JavaScript and I guess serverless in Two Sigma, Netlify, and then AWS, and then now Temporal. Temporal is not serverless. Temporal is Temporal was sort of the product manager for our TypeScript SDK, but otherwise just generally doing developer relations stuff. I've been doing developer relations since Netlify, where I was the second dev advocate hire. And I think that's mostly what I help founders with in terms of my angel investing. I've done about, I think, 9 deals so far. And some people need more help, some people need less help. But I think that's mostly what people come to me for in terms of DevRel and dev community. Because dev community on the side, I was moderator of the React subreddit, up to 200,000 people, and then I started Svelte Society from scratch. And then also I run a small group of like about 500 people on Discord for angel investing and for my book, which I published 2 years ago. So some experience on the dev community side, but mostly professionally on the DevRel side.
Cool. And I'd love also to hear about that. Actually, like kind of our I don't know like what your thoughts on that, but like we tried a couple of approaches, and also content actually drove a lot of our like very like quality traffic. But the best content was really like from at least at this stage, like from either the engineers or from like a security engineers. So we're like, for example, right now, like really working hard to hire the cloud security engineer or like lead security engineer that will do that like half of the time, and half of the time like will work on the product. And then he will have also like very good insights. So kind of trying to find like this this person, because we think that like the product is not like, it's really like it's just 1 year old, and it will like for someone like more like a generalist, it will be hard to create like completely new content that we don't even know exactly what it is, apart from we know that like it should be for a security engineer, right? So
exactly. So is there a question there, or is that just what you're thinking right now?
I shared my thoughts. Just I mean, if it makes sense, I guess that's the like question.
Can you drop a few of the posts that have worked really well? I have a list of other formats that you can try to adopt, but I just want to see What do you think has worked so far?
Yeah.
So I see you have like keyless access, open source. I mean, I do like the images that you produce with each post. Log4j, of course. Everyone has, every security company needs a Log4j blog post.
Yeah.
Oh, this is nice. Okay. Maybe I saw this on Hacker News.
No, I'm not sure if it was hype, but this one was good. Terraform, like it's an announcement. People really liked it, and even some high quality tutorials, like they rank pretty. Yeah, they rank pretty high on Google. So
so does this use Cloud Query? Let me see.
No,
you use the AWS CLI.
No, it's just a tutorial, like high quality tutorial, like really high quality DevOps or SRE for AWS tutorials. That we were like either me actually or one of our engineers were able to produce. They usually like rank really high on Google.
Yeah, I think okay. So if you're interested in that side of thing, like the SEO side, SEO hacking type things, this kind of content is really useful. Particularly if you can say, now that you've done X, you should set up Cloud Query so that you can start tracking your resources, right? So I'm looking at this AWS tutorial and it doesn't do that. Maybe you can be a bit more shameless. Oh yeah, you have that. Okay.
In the end, I would put there is like
very small paragraph. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. I will put in some explicit instructions or a video to make sure that people don't miss it. But I really like this. I would say one trick is to update the dates. So for example, now you say how to set up AWS CLI with AWS SSO. You can put like sort of brackets updated for 2022. That automatically supersedes you for then compared to any other older posts. I love these kinds of small tricks.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, there's tons of these, man. Just go listen to a few advice from SEO types. But look, like they can only add a little bit of value on top of your core results. So you still need to have the core stuff. So yeah, I mean, being the #1 resource for people learning about this emerging field, I think cloud security engineer is still not a super well established industry yet, and basically having commentary or news or like analysis, like the Log4j one, fantastic, right? Very timely, very relevant to you. Just having your name associated with anything in your field that you must know, like you should be like, you should have an opinion on something in the industry, even if it's like not specifically selling Cloud Query, but of course if you can sell Cloud Query, that's the best. But I think I do think that works. I think having a newsletter and promoting that and saying this is not just Cloud Query news, but this is just like the one place you should come to for every week or every month you have an update on cloud security stuff. Like I think that's really interesting. Like I think like the content piece, like you just want to be relevant. You want to be strongly associated. Like people should know every time they click on a Cloud Query post, like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get something quality. And that's definitely a branding exercise. Have you come across Dan Liu's research on corporate engineering blogs?
I don't think so.
Okay, Dan Liu is I don't actually know what he does. I think he used to work at Notion. But he's like a researcher, blogger type of person. And so he asked around like, okay, which companies do you think has good engineering blogs, right? And people said like GitHub, Stripe, Segment. I think he was right. But this research was conducted before Tailscale became popular. So these days, I would say Tailscale, Fly.io, like the ones that consistently hit the top of Hacker News, and people constantly say like, oh wow, this is talking to me like a real dev, not like a marketing person or something like that. And mostly that is for hiring. So that is not building Cloud Query's brand. It built Cloud Query's brand in the sense of that you talk about the hard problems that you solve. But mostly people want to join companies that with other people that they admire, that they look up to, that they say I can learn a lot from the problems that I'm exposed to here. So you can consider that your blog is not just for marketing Cloud Query, it's also for establishing your employer brand.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, the trick part is to like, so I think the best, I totally agree, and also with the hiring option, actually we also got like some incomings from those blogs for the hiring. The trick part is really to keep it like the quality really high. So actually it's really hard also to find like engineers that like to write blogs and content. So yeah, that's one is a tricky one. Yeah.
The main thing I do, so I offer this, basically I offer DevRel office hours, right? Like, so if you're an engineer in the company and you want help on a blog, you just have some basic ideas, I can sit down and help you like flesh out the outline or ghostwrite it for you, something like that. For my founders, actually, what I do is I'll just do a 30-minute or a 60-minute video interview, and that'll be recorded as a video for our YouTube. And then I'll go through the video and I'll transcribe it, but rearrange it such that it looks like a blog post, right? In other words, your engineers think they have something, but they don't have the time to write it down. So the max is you say, all right, let's just schedule a 30 to 60-minute discussion about it. The rest, I'll take it from here. And I'll turn it into a blog post, right? But I get a free video out of it. And the max time that you spend on this is 60 minutes. So I think that's a really good value proposition. You just need to hire someone who can do that well.
Yeah, I agree. And also the engineers themselves, which is also a catch-22 to write the blogs.
No.
Which we are,
so what I'm saying, like, every engineer can talk about their issues.
Yeah.
I think this is, if you can do interviews at all, that's a normal part of work. So maybe they don't have to write, right? There's a range of services that you can provide your engineers, like from like, hey, very fast like turnarounds, like I'll have an SLA to review your post within like 1 hour, and then it's very quick approve. We'll just post it up and then you can share it with your friends. All the way to you just do a video chat and then we handle the rest, right? There's a range of services from full service to self-service that you can offer to get this productivity out there. And go ahead if you want, like make it part of OKRs, like it's fine. Like I think engineers will adapt to that, and honestly, it's better for them long term, because then when they someday down the line, when they look back on their career, they can actually point to these external facing pieces of work, and it's good for their own careers as well. So yeah. Okay, so apart from that, like, are you doing any community events? Like, how are you gathering your community? Let's see.
So right now, we have a Discord. And we have kind of like quarterly office hours.
Okay.
I think just because like we don't have like something to update like every single month. We kind of like felt it's like a bit too much. So we wanted like to do quarterly. So basically, GitHub issues and all of that. But Discord is like a place for people to ask questions, and usually like if we see someone asking a lot of questions, we usually follow up with them. Ask questions, maybe do an interview, understand better his use case. So usually people are willing to share and so on. Yeah.
Look, you have very impressive users already. If they're willing to get on a chat with you and just and do a Q&A, I think you should do this at least monthly. Quarterly is too slow for you at this stage. You can do better than that.
Even if not a lot of people join, like
it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So that's another thing, right? Like, yes, your community is pretty small right now, but the point is that the vast majority of people will be viewing asynchronously, right? Like, there were 200 people at my Netflix meeting when I got them to share about how Netflix uses temporal, but then 4,000 people afterwards view the video, right? So it's just a way of getting the brand name out there and saying like, okay, here's a real user. It's not someone working for the company. It's a real user with like my problems, the people that I look up to, saying Cloud Query was useful for my needs, and that's great.
Yeah, I agree. And to record them, I think that's something that, so we just tried, I think, 2 of those. It's relatively new, like the monthly, but we didn't actually record them. But I think this is something that we should definitely do, right?
Oh yeah, don't waste it. Yeah, the live thing is almost, look, like the live actually has very little value. It's just a forcing function, and it's a time boxing function, meaning like you're not going to spend 10 days working on a 20-minute video, which some people do, right? Like real professional YouTubers do that. No, all you're saying is like, hey, you're a busy guy, but like, hey, you really like our software, it's free and open source. Would you like to give back a little bit by talking to our community and ourselves? Like most people will say yes. And then you put it up as social proof and education. Have a monthly cadence. So like, hey, like, there's a new use case. So another thing I like to do is tie the company name to a use case. So Netflix uses us for CI/CD, Coinbase uses us for transactions, that kind of thing. Can you sort of fill out your top 3 personas with like 3 logos each, something like that, right? And then just give people a lot of depth and confidence as to like, hey, I'm thinking about using Cloud Query for this. Can you scale? Can you is it the right use case? Basically help them anticipate all these needs or questions and just answer them conclusively with people that you already have.
I agree. Okay, that's I think that's a good one. I think both the like OKRs and also like recording, actually it's pretty straightforward, but I think we didn't do that, but I don't know why. Recording the monthlies.
It's what I think and it'd be interesting if I set up like some kind of like agency thing where like basically, so what I think is this is similar to like in finance. So I used to be a trader, and in trading you actually separate the front office, the middle office, and the back office. The front office brings in the deals, closes the contracts or whatever. The middle office checks the risk and the compliance, and then the back office does the accounting. And I think for DevRel, essentially we need a lot of people are full stack, like you do the front, middle, and back stuff. But really what you need to do is you need to separate the content creator, which is the front office, from the production person, which is the middle office, and then the metrics or accounting person, which is the back office, something like that. Right now you have all 3. You as a founder, if you don't have a DevRel, you are doing all 3 things. So basically if I ever did a startup someday, I would do the middle and back office for you.
Middle and back,
Anyway, I don't do that yet. I'm sure there's like other people who would be interested in that. I think you can hire executive assistants as well. There's some content creators that they actually do hire EAs to do that for them. So if you're interested in that, if you know anyone who does that, and you try to bring up this set of tasks, like which is basically like post-production, scheduling, all that. Like because you should not worry about it. You just show up, and then focus on like creating the best content possible, and then hand it over to someone else to take care of.
But something that actually, so we tried that a bit. So maybe we didn't like find the right person or the right freelancer, but like basically, most of the time it's definitely like wasted on creating the quality content, but whenever it's ready, then posting it on, Buffer, if you have already the automation Buffer, and on our website, is kind of like, is a small thing already. So like this kind of like overhead of communication, not always like, like we found it a bit like, we found it like a bit like basically adding, not saving time. That was the issue when we tried.
I understand and I agree. But it's not, don't feel like you're doing it wrong. I think you need to add value to that process. So essentially, I don't know. Basically, I think at this point, like, do things that don't scale and then figure out how much you can hand off to.
Yeah, exactly.
until you have like a chunk of, you have a run book that you always do that works for you, that you hand off. You know.
Yeah.
Right now, I have a run book for our meetups, and you know, it includes like, you know, T-4 weeks. Send out all the invite calendars. Make sure everybody has invites. T-3 weeks. Like, you know, make sure we have like some social promotion or whatever. T-2 weeks, you have. You start to get in touch with your speakers to do some prep if they need to. T-1 week, you know, put it on the company newsletter. And then T-4, 3, 2, 1. You have just like stuff going out, and then that is a full job for someone to hand over. It's not just post the buffer, right? Like it's you can define some sort of pre-production and post-production.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, that's cool actually. Yeah, okay, that's interesting insights. Yeah.
Everything I just talked to you about is tactics.
Yeah.
So what we have not talked about is strategy, which is, you know, realistically, the best you can expect is like 2 to 3 really viral posts every year, and you have to sort of throw a lot of darts on the board to get there, and make sure you want to cover the main audiences and the content types that you want to be known for or that you want to produce. Because ultimately, this is another thing that I think people overestimate or they imbalance. They want one post that does super well. But I think more like it's better for engagement if people find one good post and then a really good library. And this is something that YouTubers talk about a lot. They say, before you do collaborations with like large YouTube accounts and go viral, you actually want a backlog of really solid stuff. The most important post in your blog is the second post that people see. Because if they see the second one that is also really good quality, they'll be like, this is, you know, this overall is a good name, and they have good judgments and it's relevant to my interests. So I think that's something that, like, to me, that's not tactics anymore. That is strategy. That is like, you know, are you providing that overall content mix and brand perception that you're going for?
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty useful advice. I think actually I struggled with actually finding good DevRel advice. So it's definitely
I'm thinking about writing this down. So I'm testing it on you actually. So you're a guinea pig for me, because
actually it's good one, because I really actually like I did talk to a lot of like kind of like DevRels or content creator, and it was actually a lot of like too much vanilla or not concrete, and was like pretty much hard to apply, or things that like already like, well, like too obvious. So actually it's pretty solid. I like that.
The only, like, all I'm doing is like, okay, all of us are amateurs at this, right? Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. What we're really doing is we're building a media company within your main company. And so the question is, are you doing a half-ass job because you don't really think about yourself as being serious about the media business? Or if you're serious about the media business, can you go study other media businesses who do this for a living, by the way? Like, their entire source of income is just ads or subscriptions. And so they're very serious about, like, hey, get your readership up, get your open rates up, get your subscribers in, have a funnel, like have a nice backlog, have good open image tags, like have schedules, and, you know, every day, every week, people expect you on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Like, that kind of bullshit is not how dev content creators treat themselves. And maybe they should be more serious about it, because this has been shown to work by people who are way more serious at it than us.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think right now, like, is actually like DevRel or like easy mode, because the field is so young. So
I agree. Super young. Yeah. Most of like the enterprise content is like super fluff for marketing. Like
that's true as well.
which is like So it's pretty like if you keep it solid and you do a good job, you pretty much like actually don't have a lot of competition.
I have mixed opinions, so I don't want to overstate the impact of this stuff. I think this is very useful for the, quite frankly, the younger generation. Quite frankly, the individual contributors rather than the VP level, C level decision makers. So if you want to market to those types, who are older, who are who consume information and make decisions very differently, you're gonna have to change your approach. So I don't have any insight onto that market. I mostly talk about like bottoms up, like DevRels type stuff. So I'm really pretty humble about that because I think there are other people that are more successful in the top-down space, and sometimes it's just direct sales, sometimes it's overall brands perception and doing sort of brand perception exercises. Like we had a 4 Ps exercise, which I got very bored by, but I think that's the kind of thing you have to do at the VP level.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess like what's, maybe can you say like what's your kind of like availability or like on the angel investing, right? Like side, right? So and I can tell you like a bit about the round, right? So specifically.
Okay, yeah. We're still recording, so don't say anything you want to share. I historically have not been. I have not done anything security. I'm not a very security-minded person. I don't know how to sell security, but I do like general ETL. I think that liberating your data from whatever silo that it's in and letting you perform your own analysis is obviously the right way to go. And anything that is in that space, I think I like that. I'm happy to just help and just be a resource for you for now. And then if I get more serious, if I get metrics, for example, if you just put me on investor updates and I see like, okay, there's good traction here, even though I don't know that much about the space, I'm happy to learn it and I should put some money here. I think that's more meaningful for me. Like otherwise, you can see how I like to talk anyway. You're flexible to talk on weekends. Like I don't mind jamming every now and then just to give you ideas and stuff without any investment.
Yeah, sounds good. So that's me. Let me also write this down, and I'll put you on the investors update.
So, but to be clear, you are raising your A.
Yeah. So
you are.
Yeah. So we raised. So maybe if you want, you can also like stop recording just for.
Okay. I'll just whatever deal details you can share with me, I'll share with my angel investing group, because there may be other people who are not me, but in my group that might be.
No problem.
All right. I'll stop recording and then we can.